Today is Friday, October 24th, 2025, and this is Read Through the Bible.
And we are beginning a new book today.
Yes, we are. So, yesterday we actually had 2 episodes. So it was the last episode of 1 Samuel, which was chapters 30 and 31. And then also in the afternoon we had a recap edition. So make sure you listen to both of those if possible.
If it works. I mean, you might not allocate your time. That's fine.
Right. But just that,
But just know that we're encouraging you to write summaries of every chapter, just to interact a little bit with each chapter of the Bible so that you have a chance of kind of what it's about. And then if we finish a book, we're trying to back up and even write micro summaries, like really short, that you might even work to memorize, to know the books of the Bible really well.
Mm-hmm. And it helps you see the big picture of the whole book.
Those podcast episodes are helpful. Just to kick back and just say, okay, we've read all of 1 Samuel. What's 1 Samuel about? After we read every chapter, we always sit back and say, okay, what was that chapter about? Okay, this is 2 Samuel. So Saul died, and that's what verse 1 says. And now we see David establishing his kingdom. He's going to gather his friends and destroy his enemies.
Yeah, and just big picture of this book coming up, the first half of the book or so is going to be just the rise of David in prominence and goodness, and then he's going to turn a corner and it's going to start going down.
Yeah.
So, but it's all about David.
Yes.
2 Samuel is all about David.
Yeah.
Okay, chapter 1, verse 1. After the death of Saul, when David had returned from striking down the Amalekites, David remained 2 days in Ziklag. And on the 3rd day, behold, a man came from Saul's camp, with his clothes torn and dirt on his head. And when he came to David, he fell to the ground and paid homage. And David said to him, "Where do you come from?" And he said, "I have escaped from the camp of Israel." And David said to him, "How did it go? Tell me." And he answered, "The people fled from the battle, and also many of the people have fallen and are dead, and Saul and his son Jonathan are also dead." Then David said to the young man who told him, "How do you know that Saul and his son Jonathan are dead?" And the young man who told him said, "By chance I happened to be on Mount Gilboa, and there was Saul leaning on a spear, and behold, the chariots and the horsemen were close upon him. And when he looked behind him, he saw me and called to me, and I answered, 'Here I am.' And he said to me, 'Who are you?' And I answered him, 'I am an Amalekite.' And he said to me, 'Stand beside me and kill me, for anguish has seized me, and yet my life still lingers.' So I stood beside him and killed him, because I was sure that he could not live after he had fallen. And I took the crown that was on his head and the armlet that was on his arm, and I have brought them here to my Lord."
Okay, so someone here is lying.
Yes, there's something that doesn't add up.
Because at the end of 1 Samuel chapter 31, the story was Saul was wounded and he asked his armor bearer to kill him, but he didn't, because I'm not going to strike the anointed. I'm not going to do that. So Saul killed himself, and then the armor bearer killed himself too. Mm-hmm. And so here's probably an Amalekite who came on the scene and wanting to be a hero said, "I killed your enemy, I killed Saul."
Right, and maybe he grabbed the crown and the armlet and then thought, I could tell David,
David
will be
him.
Right, and David would be so pleased with me.
Yeah, except think about David constantly saying, "I will not lift up my hand against the Lord's anointed."
Yep.
And this man was brazen enough to do that. So we'll see what he does. Verse 11, David took hold of his clothes and tore them, and so did all the men who were with him, and they mourned and wept and fasted until evening for Saul and for Jonathan his son, and for the people of the Lord and for the house of Israel, because they had fallen by the sword. And David said to the young man who told him, "Where do you come from?" And he said, "I am a son of a sojourner, an Amalekite." And David said to him, "How is it you were not afraid to put out your hand to destroy the Lord's anointed?" Over and over, right? 1 Samuel 24 and 26, in the cave and in the camp. David was not going to do that. But here, he was not afraid to destroy the Lord's anointed. Then David called one of the young men and said, "Go, execute him." And he struck him down so that he died. And David said to him, "Your blood be on your head, for your own mouth has testified against you, saying, 'I have killed the Lord's anointed.'"
Wow. Verse 17, and David lamented with this lamentation over Saul and Jonathan his son. And he said, "It should be taught to the people of Judah. Behold, it is written in the book of Jashar." He said,
"Your glory, O Israel, is slain on your high places. How the mighty have fallen. Tell it not in Gath, publish it not in the streets of Ashkelon. Lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised exult.
You mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew or rain upon you, nor fields of offerings. For there the shield of the mighty was defiled, the shield of Saul, not anointed with oil.
From the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan turned not back, and the sword of Saul returned not empty.
Saul and Jonathan, beloved and lovely, in life and in death they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles, they were stronger than lions. You daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you luxuriously in scarlet, who put ornaments of gold on your apparel.
How the mighty have fallen in the midst of the battle.
Jonathan lies slain on your high places. I am distressed for you, my brother Jonathan. Very pleasant have you been to me. Your love to me was extraordinary, surpassing the love of women.
How the mighty have fallen, and the weapons of war perished. Okay, so first chapter of 2 Samuel, we see David ordering the death of the Amalekite who claimed that he killed Saul. Mm-hmm. And then David's lament. And I think the key to his lament is this phrase repeated 3 times. Did you pick it
How
up?
the mighty have fallen.
How the mighty have fallen. Yep.
Verse 19, 25, and 27.
Yep. Okay, chapter 2.
Okay. After this, David inquired of the Lord. He's inquiring of the Lord again.
Again, so to be commended.
Many times. Shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? Because remember, he's in the Philistine territory in Ziklag, and he wants to go back home. Shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said to him, Go up. David said, To which shall I go up? And he said, To Hebron. So David went up there, and his 2 wives also, Ahinoam of Jezreel and Abigail, the widow of Nabal of Carmel. And David brought up his men who were with him, everyone with his household, and they lived in the towns of Hebron. And the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah.
Finally.
Yes.
In 1 Samuel 16, he was anointed king, and now finally he is established as king over Israel.
It's been a long time. We don't know exactly when he was anointed, but Saul reigned for 40 years.
Yeah.
So David waited a long time for this.
A long time. But he was finally king over the house of Judah. This is in the south, and it's going to take another, I think, 7 years before he's king in the north as well, in Israel as well. When they told David it was the men of Jabesh Gilead who buried Saul, David sent messengers to the men of Jabesh Gilead and said to them, May you be blessed by the Lord, because you showed this loyalty to Saul, your Lord, and buried him. Now may the Lord show steadfast love and faithfulness to you, and I will do good to you because you have done this thing. Now therefore let your hands be strong and be valiant, for Saul your Lord is dead, and the house of Judah has anointed me king over them.
Verse 8, But Abner, the son of Ner, commander of Saul's army, he's still alive, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim. So Saul's sons who died in the battle, they weren't Saul's only sons.
Yeah.
So there was this one Ishbosheth still left. And he, Abner, made him, Ishbosheth, king over Gilead and the Asherites and Jezreel and Ephraim and Benjamin and all Israel. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and he reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months.
Okay. So just right here, it's even important that Ishbosheth is over Israel in the north and David over Judah in the south. Abner, the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out and met them at the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, one on the one side of the pool and the other on the other side of the pool. And Abner said to Joab, Let the young men arise and compete before us. And Joab said, Let them arise. And they arose and passed over by number, 12 for Benjamin and Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and 12 for the servants of David. And each caught his opponent by the head and thrust his sword in his opponent's side. So they fell down together. Therefore the place is called Helkath Hazarim, which is at Gibeon, and the battle was fierce that day, and Abner and the men of Israel were beaten before the servants of David. So here we see, even though Ishbosheth is in the north, it's having battles between them.
Yeah. Okay, verse 18. And the 3 sons of Zeruiah were there, Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. Now Asahel was as swift of foot as a wild gazelle. And Asahel pursued Abner. So remember, Joab, Abishai, and Asahel, they're all on David's side. And then Abner, he was on Saul's side.
Yep.
Okay, so Asahel pursued Abner, and Asahel's a fast runner. And as he went, he turned neither to the right hand nor to the left from following Abner. And then Abner looked behind him and said, "Is it you, Asahel?" And he answered, "It is I." And Abner said to him, "Turn aside to your right hand or to your left, and seize one of the young men and take his spoil." But Asahel would not turn aside from following him. And Abner said again to Asahel, "Turn aside from following me." Like, get off my tail. Go away. "Why should I strike you to the ground? How then could I lift up my face to your brother Joab?" But he refused to turn aside. Therefore Abner struck him in the stomach with the butt of his spear, so that the spear came out at his back, and he fell there and died where he was. And all who came to the place where Asahel had fallen and died stood still.
Okay.
So Abner just killed one of David's key men.
Yeah. And we're going to see some revenge. Mm-hmm. But Joab and Abishai pursued Abner, and as the sun was going down, they came to the hill of Ammah, which lies before Giah on the way to the wilderness of Gibeon. And the people of Benjamin gathered themselves together behind Abner and became one group and took their stand on the top of a hill. Then Abner called to Joab, "Shall the sword devour forever? Do you not know that the end will be bitter? How long will it be before you tell your people to turn from the pursuit of their brothers?" And Joab said, "As God lives, if you had not spoken, surely the men would not have given up the pursuit of their brothers until the morning." So Joab blew the trumpet, and all the men stopped and pursued Israel no more, nor did they fight any more.
And Abner and his men went all that night through the Arabah. They crossed the Jordan and marched the whole morning. They came to Mahanaim. Joab returned from the pursuit of Abner, and when he had gathered all the people together, there were missing from David's servants 19 men besides Asahel. But the servants of David had struck down of Benjamin 360 of Abner's men. And they took up Asahel and buried him in the tomb of his father, which was at Bethlehem. And Joab and his men marched all night, and the day broke upon them at Hebron.
Okay. So as we look back and say what happened here in 2 Samuel, the key is that David was anointed king at Hebron, and Ishbosheth was made king of Israel, and then just kind of some dust settling, I think, from Saul's death.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Because you have Asahel and Joab and Abishai are on David's side, and Abner's on Saul's side, and you just gotta anytime a kingdom is overtaken and changed regimes, there's a lot of death and extinguishing of people.
Yeah.
That's what's taking place here. Okay, you can write that as a summary, and we will see you tomorrow in the Psalms.
Okay,
Okay, bye-bye.